Good afternoon. This is Word at Noon. My name is Remy Allen. For the Ondo State House of Assembly and its Speaker, Olaniyi Olajiji, constitute a medical panel to assess Governor Akeredolu's health as fake news. They do apply for an order of mandamus and serve parties in the case. He explained that in an application for an order of mandamus, a party must first seek to be served and heard. He said it isn't true that the order being sought by the judge warned those experts have charged the people of Ondo State to make regular checking health measurement, body mass index assessment,
Nola, represented by the care services to all. Director,
stroke is very common.
The high point of the event was the conduct of check-up events. Members
to pay. At least we know how much we enlighten us on what we're supposed to do. Jẹ́ ẹ̀kọ́ ìwúrí because ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ wà pé torí owó àti lọ ṣe BP àti ṣúgà yẹn wọn lè lọ láti lọ check ẹ̀. Kò sí ìṣẹ́ pé lè jẹ́ ọ̀fẹ́ báyìí ó pẹ́ oníkálukú láyè láti wá wo bí ara wọn ṣe rí ó lè jẹ́ ẹ̀kọ́ tó tínú wá dùn gidigidi sí.
Oluwarotimi Akeredolu
growth in the state. They said they attained their present position through also initiative of the wife of Ondo State Governor, Mrs. Betty Anyanwu Akeredolu, Government House correspondent for Moniola Ugbeji.
Behind me is the gathering of women from across the 3 senatorial districts.
Ondo State Governor Betty Anyanwu Akeredolu said she fulfilled seeing women attaining the results.
Celebrating the 5th summit signifies we have truly come of age, and quite evidently, Fowoso has done well for women in Ondo State.
Of this year's summit, chosen drive home the message, given opportunity to explore.
A purpose-saved strategy for inspiring people to reach the gender in a political space and to continue to work in alliance with other women toward liberating womanhood at all levels from age-long subjugation.
Senator representing the Southern Senatorial District of Ondo State, of Mr. Akeredolu towards developing women folks in society.
Also, will never die. Also, will continue. I will look forward to a time strong and strong. As we be at the back there, I say, I created it, I established it. That's the joy of the woman. So that is coming.
Guest speaker at the event.
Is it because I'm telling you their stories? You think I like the other stories to tell you? We want to talk about the tongues of men, like the position of authority. Do we want to talk about betrayal? We want to talk about people that will say, we thank God for you, we thank God for you. But we make you know what's there. Everything will always be criticized.
Points of the events including breast cancer awareness campaign, launch of Fowoso calendar, reviewing and launch of the history of Bimor, as well as sessions on various topics, among others. Moniola Ugbeji, Osrc News.
Negotiations NASU instigated the movement for compromising during nationwide strikes on the living wage and why NLC must lead the charge for the institutionalization of an enduring national wage system, Oshunwe insisted. The second, all companies should pay their taxes in full to the government coffers and then request for a rebate if need be. Minister Wale Edun and his counterpart from the Budget and Economic Planning Ministry at Tiku. Adiola said the committee had agreed that all taxes should be office of the government and then corporate entities should apply by 50%. Finance Minister views exceptions. The National Judicial Council (NJC) has recommended the elevation of 11 justices to the Supreme Court bench. The legal body took the decision at its 104 meeting held in Abuja. In a statement through its Director Information, Mr. Sojioye said it considered the list of, according to the statement, all recommended candidates to the Supreme Court bench would be sworn in after the approval of their recommendation by President Bola Tinubu, and the heads of court recommended will also be sworn in upon the approval of their appointments by their various state governors. NHRC has urged the federal legislature to immediately amend the Constitution to strengthen the rights of Nigerians. Chairperson of its council, Salama Suleiman, made a call in Abuja to the courts, thus ensuring greater accountability and protection for all Nigerians. In the same vein, the United Nations Resident Coordinator on Humanitarian Affairs in Nigeria, Matthias Kamel, urged the country to strengthen institutions to address injustice. The Economic Community of West African States says the military coup in and Niger were fueling the region. President Omar Traoré says in his address at the 5th ordinary session of the ECOWAS Mission and Security Council at ministerial level in Niger. Traoré noted that the overall security continued to be challenged. A coup d'etat was launched in Burkina Faso on January 23, 2022, in Mali on May 24, 21, and in the Niger Republic on July 26, 2023. Former British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has faced a day of questioning as the UK's inquiry into the COVID-19 pandemic and the government's response. It was the first of 2 days of testimony. Johnson began by offering an apology. Many relatives of those who died were not satisfied with his statements. The U.S. State Department has announced it is issuing travel bans on dozens of Israelis and Palestinians taking part in violence in the occupied West Bank. The occupied West Bank denied daily passmates, dismissing U.S. concerns. Contrary to their claims, documented attacks have doubled since October 7, prompting travel bans for some settlers. NGOs may face scrutiny despite underground denials. Escalating violence raises questions about further U.S. interventions. Wahab Bankole report.
In the occupied West Bank, settlers deny daily harassment and violence against Palestinians.
I think it's a very small percentage of people, if at all. Maybe in the States they hear about it more, but it's not that happens.
It's what happens in cases, injuring Jews. However, not really any injury of Palestinians by Jews. So I think the threat of the Americans is a little disconnected from reality. There is no context, no interest, and it's shocking. What a shame.
The reality, attack caught on camera every day. Even before the war, the UN said violence by residents of illegal settlement has caused a mass exodus of Palestinians, meaning that since October 7th, daily settler attacks have more than doubled. The world has seen the pictures of the dead, of the homes, cars, and businesses burned. But if settlers are news in the bank, despite several administration officials briefing the media. Not one mention of it in the US Wednesday. Advocate Adam Shapiro calls the travel bans largely meaningless and mostly symbolic, but he says it is possible the Biden administration will do more.
There's other steps such as asset freezing, which would include bank accounts. There's looking at the larger ecosystem of settler violence, which would include looking at the NGOs that provide charitable tax-deductible funds to settlements and settlement enterprises.
On the ground, some may try to deny the reality of spiraling attacks, often done in front of Israeli soldiers. But the world has seen the violence day after day. The question for advocates now, will US President Joe Biden do more to try and stop it? Wahab Bankole, Osrc News.
In the meantime, Kamal Adan is one of 9 hospitals still operating in Gaza. It has come under repeated Israeli attacks. Officials there say the situation is dire. Meanwhile, the area along the southern coast of the Gaza Strip has been deemed a safe zone by Israeli forces. But rights groups reject the claim as the area lacks any humanitarian aid and many fear it might be their final resting place. Wahab Bankole has details.
Row by row they stand, just barely providing shelter to thousands of newly displaced Palestinians looking for safety from Israel's bombardment of Gaza, even if it is momentarily. The narrow strip known as El Mouassi has become the new western city for displaced Palestinians, a desolate barren area where all its occupants have a tragic story to tell.
My family were forcibly displaced from Hamad city. This is our destiny, but we are holding our ground. We only left when they started carpet bombing the city, when 8 towers were leveled. We left our home in the open, exposed to the fierce cold and rain. There is nowhere to go.
Al Mouassi is a town on the southern coast of the Gaza Strip. The area is only 1 kilometer wide and 14 kilometers. Many Palestinians came to this area with very few personal belongings and the scars of war. Israeli forces say the area is a humanitarian safe zone, but rights groups on the ground reject that claims and say it is a dangerous false narrative. There is no food, no water, no sanitation, no hope.
My husband was killed years ago. My only son, who I exhausted my life for raising, was killed by the Israeli military. He was killed in his prime, murdered by the Israelis. I lost my husband, my brothers and sisters, and lately my son too. I'm left alone in this world. What to do? Bury myself? I'm losing my mind.
There is no expectation their situation will change for now. They have each other, perhaps the only comfort they can take in these uncertain times. Wahab Bankole, Osrc News.
That's World at Noon. Thanks for watching. Good afternoon.